The thing is, when it comes to money like that, it's so easy to get bought into like the luxury stuff that people get into. But most people don't want that. And you don't realize it until you experience it. And you're like, why did I think that I cared about staying at the Ritz in wherever or having the car? Like, there's a reason a lot of super wealthy people are miserable because there's nothing beyond that to them and they don't understand
Did you use the Ritz as a good example? Because our mutual friend was just posted on Instagram of them being at the Ritz in Paris.
Oh. Well, totally. So for that guy, like, I do believe that that is something that really brings him a lot of joy.
Yeah.
And so he needs to make money to support that. That's great. And that's different for everybody. To some people, that is like having the boat or doing whatever. I learned as I started to make my money that a lot of that stuff I don't care about. Pretty much the one thing that I will always splurge on is if I'm going overseas, which I like to do on a regular basis, I will fly business class because it is a much better travel experience for me. And I will fly business class to wherever, and I will stay in a nice-ish hotel. Like, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I just need to feel like it's safe and it's clean and it's close to stuff I want to do, but it doesn't need to be the Ritz. It's $1,000 a night. I don't care.
Yeah, I think you got to just, whatever it is, it's like what you care. If you get satisfaction out of certain things, that's what you have to realize. But you kind of test those. If you're trying to chase what other people want, or like if you're trying to get all this stuff, which is where I think people are unsatisfied, it's like, well, that one will make me happy. That one will make me happy. Or I see everybody doing these things. It's staying at the Ritz. It's flying business class. It's traveling 6 months out of it. It's all these things. And then you're like, oh, those weren't cool. Maybe I need to reset my expectation on what's cool. And at the end of the day, it really comes down to, I think for me anyways, it's about the relationships you hold and the experiences you have. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with the material things, although the material things can make life comfortable.
Isn't there a good study that says like the people who are on their deathbeds had like 3 regrets is like, or meaningful life was the relationships, the people closest to them, like a purpose, some kind of like having some kind of purpose in life, and then health was the other one.
Exactly. And I think the perfect example of how to do things wrong is just look at Elon Musk, who is obviously one of the most miserable people on the planet.
I think that's a leap that he's miserable.
I don't know, man.
I don't think he is. Miserable. He has everything Dylan just described.
It's true. Does he? I don't know.
Purpose. His health isn't bad.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Collecting Keys. I'm Mike DeHaan here with your co-hosts Dan Austin and Dylan Cook.
Ew.
And I guess to your point, Dan, we're going to Elon.
I think personally, if I was, you were projecting that he was partnered with Trump, so you think he's a bad person, but I actually think he's probably not.
No, like mostly what I'm referring to is around his multiple failed marriages, his different baby mamas, the comments that he makes around the relationship with his kids are always pretty negative. You know, there's a lot of things that project unhappiness. It literally has nothing to do with his ties with Trump at all.
I guess, yeah, you could say the things that I'm not advocating for his parenting style or whatever, but if you talk to a random parent on a bad day, they're going to be like, yeah, dude, my kids are assholes.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't, he's a public figure though, right? So everybody's going to hang on everything he says, but.
Yeah. And I have no personal relationship to this person, obviously. So all I have to go off is the recurring tabloids, which who knows how true they actually are.
I think he was a Nazi there for a while.
He was. Did you see, I guess when he smoked weed on Joe Rogan's podcast, that because SpaceX gets federal grants, the whole SpaceX employees had to get random drug tested since weed is still was a classified substance.
That's hilarious, actually. That was a big deal when he did that, and then I think now he after that, when that incident happened, that was a huge deal, and people were like, "Oh man, what a terrible human being to do that. He can't be trusted with our money." And then he's worth $1 trillion more now.
That's such a I don't know. That's always one of those weird things when it's you look at the circumstance of it. I mean, if he was a pothead and he was always just showing up as stuff baked all the time, and you're like,
Even then, speaking of miserable wealthy people that drink all the time, which is legal and acceptable, but they're just miserable, unhealthy pricks, and they're alcoholics. I just don't. The whole drug and alcohol thing. Do what you want to do. I think they should all be illegal.
Oh yeah, I mean at some level, you should move to Saudi Arabia, Dan. You'll find your people over there. But
I'm not saying I want to do them.
Yeah. To your point, Dylan, though, I don't know, we're talking about finding that stage of life satisfaction stuff. Stretch your comfort level with the money that you have, and then you'll learn what your actual reasonable lifestyle is, what you actually want, and then you can build your ambitions from there. And I would say for most people, it is more chill, less expensive than you think it is.
My guess would be you're already doing 95% of what you want to do in life.
Exactly. And that's what makes it hard.
Most of us are. You just have to get your mind around that you're actually doing what you want to do.
I think a lot of it too is not even the thing, but I've always been a workaholic, even if it's like aimless work.
Yeah.
And so what else do you do? I don't know. And these are all answers people need to question for themselves.
I think we're all kind of like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay though. Like that is, you can do something with your time, you know, and like there's a certain kind of people that want to just go to the beach every day. Most people are not that. And I would also say that a lot of those people, it's hard to find fulfillment, you know, instead what they find is distractions.
Well, would they be as happy if they couldn't post their beach on Instagram?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How often do you find that person that isn't advertising it to the world for likes? That's how they're getting their dopamine hits.
That's
and
so hard.
And they are out there. Like you can go to any random beach destination and you'll find like the people that kind of live there. They don't post anything. They kind of work. They have some money, but they're super happy, right? I've met people in some of these places don't even have any kind of social media. They have no idea what's going on in the world. They just live in their zone. You know, but the problem is even to back to the Elon Musk comment, like we're just going off of the context that we all have, which is what people choose to present out there, which they do intentionally.
Yeah.
Especially if there's any sort of message or professional presentation around it, realize they are posting that on purpose for a reason.
Yeah.
There's actually a old pharmacist colleague of mine that he swiped up one time. He's like, man, you did the right thing getting out of this. And I'm like, hey man, like, yes, like I still agree, but all you see is the highlight reel. You don't know the stress that happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot. But then also to your point, Dylan, you probably like doing that. You probably like the stress behind the scenes.
It's definitely, I mean, I don't miss being in the behind the counter of a pharmacy.
No. I'm talking about, like you within your day-to-day business, right? Like it's all sunshine and rainbows, but if it was, you probably wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. And then it's a financial reward.
There's a trade-off. Literally last night at pickleball is a younger guy that's in the group that I play with. He's like 25 and he knows I travel. And so he always asks me, he goes, oh, do you have any trips planned this year? I was like, oh yeah, we're going to Europe again. We're going to Hawaii. He said, didn't you go to Europe last year? I was like, yeah, we go to Europe most years, like almost for like a wedding. Cause I have a lot of family stuff over there. And he was kind of asking me about that. And he was like, what do you do again? I was like, oh, so you can just set your own schedule. I was like, well, not really. I mean, I have like 15 people on staff at this point. So like they can do stuff, but like I can be flexible. But like when I go there, it's never like I'm just checking out for a month.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be engaged with things the entire time.
Which is a weird thing to think about doing.
Yeah.
Like the people that do, like, how can you do that?
I know.
There's a meme that perfectly sums this up. That's like, I gave up my 40-hour week job so I could work 24/7, 365.
Exactly, dude. You know, and that's the trade-off that you ultimately have is, yes, you have, I would say, for most small business, you have location freedom. Time freedom is something that kind of goes away.
It's, you know what it is? It's freedom of choice. You get to choose to do it,
exactly.
Right? And when you don't get to choose anything, I liken it to, this is a Dan Austin use case, like study. So when I was in the military, you would do a lot of fitness and exercising, right? If you were leading the run, you could take, like if I was the one leading the run, like I was like in charge and I was like, we're going to run for an unknown distance at an unknown pace. Much better athletes, I could make them quit. Not because they're mentally weaker or physically weaker at all. They're maybe mentally stronger, but they have no choice. They don't know what's next. They're just getting told, we're running until I tell you to stop. And you could take somebody who could run 10 miles and you can make them quit after 3 miles. It's a weird thing. And you have no choice, right? And so in life, when you're working for a company and you have zero choices, like it feels oppressive, right? So when you have the freedom of choice to choose to work 24/7, 365, it's a different feeling.
Yeah, for sure. You have more flexibility. You know, that you've gotten rid of the metaphorical handcuffs.
Yeah. And you might not even have flexibility, honestly.
Sure.
I mean, you and I, like you go to Europe for a couple weeks with your family, you're choosing to work and to be in as an entrepreneur. Now, if you were working for a company, you could theoretically completely check out, right? Yeah. You're in that situation more flexible when you're on vacation, but you're choosing to do that. So it's just like this weird freedom switch when you're able to make those choices. And then you have like some security and knowledge and understanding that you can take care of yourself and you're not reliant on somebody else.
Exactly. Well, then also the trade-off is on that trip. I can go when I want to go. I can adjust flights over when they're cheaper. They're better aligned with my schedule. I'm not having to ask for time off to do it.
Right.
If I decided that I wanted to extend the trip, I could do that. Right. There's a lot of different things that you get with it.
Totally.
But I always have to be somewhat engaged.
Yep. Got to have your finger on the pulse.
So anyways, Dylan, go spend some money on yourself. Then you'll figure out what you actually want. And do it with something that like feels ostentatious to you.
You did buy a car. You got yourself your
Yeah, but that's after I got in a wreck.
That's true. You're kind of forced. You forced your hand. Did you wreck your car on purpose? Is that your thing? Is that your kink?
That's when the person pulled out in front of you, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a crazy story, actually.
I made myself happy instead of buying the Honda or the Toyota or whatever. I went with the nicer Audi. So, and it's still fun. I'm glad that was a good decision.
Do you get enjoyment out of it?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Did you have that really fun experience at the car dealership where they ask what your monthly income is and you tell them and they go, no, I need monthly, not annual.
Not annual.
That's how you know you've made it.
No.
But Dan and I talked about this
funny.
recently. Last time I bought a car, they're like, oh, what's your monthly? And I was like, oh, $50,000. And they're like, no, I need your monthly, not your annual. I was like, that is my monthly.
Yeah.
And it got super kind of weird. And they're like, oh, damn, okay. I'm like, cause that's good, but that's not crazy. It's not it's like, oh, I'm making $150 a month,
Yeah. It's the context for somebody that, I don't know the right way to say this, but the difference between somebody saying $10,000 a month is actually kind of a lot of money, right? But the difference between you saying from that person that maybe makes 5 to 10 a month to 50 to 100 a month, it's like there's no context to realizing, even though you're much closer than you think. Making $10,000 a month and making $50,000 a month is actually kind of close as far as what your buying power is. If you think about it, the taxes, after you pay taxes, and you're obviously ideally smarter with your money. So you're maybe parking some for investments, but the true life cost, you're kind of close. But that is such a weird thing. It's so much different.
I think the reason for that, Dan, is because most working adults right now, at some point, they had a job where they made $50,000 a year.
Yeah. So that's a number.
And that's typically the first job. And so that is burned into your brain as an annual salary. And then when somebody does that in a much shorter period of time, they're like, holy hell.
Well, think about it. So if you, what do you pay? 30% taxes on $50,000 a month? Well,
freaking way too much.
I guess that's not gonna be your total, but even if it's just say you're out of 50, you're probably paying
35
close to $15,000. Yeah, $15,000, and then you got to park, a little bit away for the future and security in case you don't make 50 next month. And so, you're not that far from 10. Honestly, when you do the math.
Yeah, when you look at all the things that came down the path.
Yeah,
we're basically all living the same lifestyle.
We're all living
in slightly different houses.
When Elon Musk looks at your number, yeah, you are.
Dude, that's so true.
When we bought my wife's car, we started we want this one, et cetera, and we already knew the price. We already said that, and we went back to the room, and he's like, this is our finance options, and I just wrote a check. And he's like, oh, wasn't expecting that. So that was fun.
Huh?
Yeah, the last car story, and then we'll wrap this up. I want to hear about why you ended up wearing an orange jumpsuit, Dylan. But the very first car that my wife and I ever bought, we've been in the same cars through college and everything forever. So we went to buy this Toyota, and we showed up to the dealership. I never bought a car. I had no idea what to expect. So I'm kind of in it's winter. I'm in sweats, whatever. I roll in. We're kind of scrubby looking. We get with the old car dealer guy, that's been there for 25 years kind of thing. And he's like, oh, here come these grubby kids. Dan and I had already started making money. And he's he's doing the whole thing. He's trying to get us on the payment. I'm like, this payment's way too much, dude. I don't want to pay that much. He goes, well, that's the best we can do. And I was like, do I actually need to pay cash for this thing? He's like, you're going to stroke me a check for $45,000. I was like, sure, I'll get my checkbook out of the car. And he gave me this look this little shit. And he stood up and walked away and came back with exactly the numbers that I wanted.
Yeah, that's great. Dude, he's going to take you for a ride. Dude.
I know. And I was like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah. That's all these car guys.
I know. But, they'll make commission.
Well, they make money on the financing.
Yeah, exactly.
They Klarna cars now. It's insane.
What they actually do, they do the same thing that we do in the debt business, where they generate this debt and then they sell on a margin to Morgan Chase or whoever.
They'll have these big, exactly, GM Financial.
But I'm shocked at some of the rates. Some of the advertisements, 400 credit, don't care. Come get your loan. I'm just okay.
Yeah, they do. They don't want you paying cash. They want you to.
Oh, they want you to finance it for sure.
And they're probably going to negotiate more with you if you get a loan. Honestly, because they have more room, right? Because they're all the interest, and then they want you to do all the when we did my wife's car recently, the guy just hands me an iPad with all these warranties and stuff on it, and I was just like, no, they're all different prices, and it's a whole a la carte thing. I'm like, no, I'm good, dude. I don't need to spend another $8,000 on a warranty.
Yeah. All right, I'll tell you how I ended up in orange jumpsuit pants.
Yeah, let's hear about it.
Was it just the pants?
It was just the pants. Yeah.
Did you get to keep them?
No, I didn't. I asked though when I came out. So I had 2 evictions. Like I've done evictions before, but like Hamilton County and Cincinnati is like the main county. The other county is Warren County, which we only have 1 rental, and I've never done an eviction there. So I went down and I'm wearing like, they're nice shorts and a polo. Like I wore nice clothes down to the first eviction court. Everything went fine. That was at like 10:30 in the morning. Then I go to my next eviction in Warren County at 1, and I turned the corner and I'm going in. The security guard's like, do you have pants in your car? I'm like, no. And he's like, we don't let anyone in the courtroom that's wearing shorts. Like it has to be pants. So court's at 1. I'm there at like 12:55. And I was like, I don't know what to do because my tenant that there is there. Like, so I have to go in, like, or I can't just like reschedule it. I'm going to lose the eviction court, the case. And he's like, the best thing I can do is offer you these like convict pants that we have over here in the closet. So I didn't really have a choice. So I took the convict pants, put them on. Then I had to wear them during the duration of the whole court proceedings with everyone else that's in there.
That's such a weird thing.
That's so weird.
Their thing is because they want it to be like proper, right? Like they want you to wear like the proper clothes into court. But not only do I look ridiculous in these pants, but there's people in here like they have quote unquote pants on because they're jeans, but they're dirty. They're holy. Oh, yeah. Like, is that really any better than like the nice khaki shorts that I had on? But apparently it is. And so that was my story.
I don't like that at all. The whole, especially around like lawyers and attorneys, I feel like they have like this weird old country club vibe all the time and follow.
That's 100% of what this is.
Stupid rules. And I'm like, dude, you're this lawyer over here who's slobby, hasn't slept in 3 days. He's an alcoholic, probably on Adderall and other drugs, sweating right now with his tie. He just looks disheveled. That guy's okay. But I come in here in like clean shorts. I'm healthy. I take care of myself. Like I'm an upstanding member of the community. And you're going to tell me to put on orange prison pants.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I have this like not lime green, but a green polo on. So it looked like a Christmas ornament. And like in this.
Bad choice of clothing, dude.
Dude, it was.
Yeah. Was that the specific judge's rule or was it the courtroom like county law?
It's the court rule. Yeah. Not enough it's a county law, but it's that courtroom specifically. Like they even have a sign like no hats, no pants. And then they had some other things for like women having to like revealing of clothing. But
oh, that is dumb. I really hate that.
It's the judge's courtroom. With this old school judge, I'm surprised he even allows women in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he sounds like one of those dudes that's super backwards with that.
It sounds like some shit you'd hear about in Georgia, dude, not Ohio.
Right? Well, are they that different? I have no idea. I'm ignorant.
Is this part of the Murdaugh trials or Murdaugh murder trials or something like that? You guys are all the same over there.
Yeah, that I don't know. But it was ridiculous. It got a big kick online. A lot of people found that humorous. So
I found it hilarious. Like it couldn't have happened to a better person. Like I'm so happy because I know like you would take it, like you kind of roll with it, but also like you'd be like, what the fuck? Dude?
Yeah.
Like
the conclusion was we ended up, granting the eviction in our favor. But
oh, good. Even though you look like a Christmas tree.
And then related to this, I guess though. So this ties into the last thing I had on our little to talk about list. Like they're going to get evicted, but they're not out. So we get the writ and then you have to wait 10 days. So they're not out in 10 days and you have to get the bailiff to come out and get them out. That's how it works in a couple of different places around here. And I already know that they're not going to be out. And so I'm just like dreading the amount of damage that there's going to be done inside this house when they get taken out.
Oh yeah. There's nothing you do about it.
And I know it's going to be a lot.
Are they not nice people?
Well, they started out that way and I bought it from a distressed seller and I just
with them in it.
And they paid rent for the first couple of months, even though it got, pushed pretty severely higher just because it's still below market rent, but they were still not where they needed to be. They got like 2 months behind before they got caught up and then they still owe me like $3,500. And so we're going to go after them for that part too, but that takes another month to month and a half to try to do that. So it's just one of those things.
The hidden cost of landlord. Oh wait, that's an actual cost. It's not hidden.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's not even in the small print.
I know.
Yeah. Part of it, man.
Easy money. Come on. You guys are doing it wrong. If you're not just living off of your mailbox money, you didn't buy right. That's what they'll tell you.
Well, I don't think it's possible to quote unquote buy right unless you take on some of these problems.
Of course. Yeah.
Like some of the cost base I see. Dude, there are 4 units in Cincinnati right now that are pending at $600K, which like to me, that is insane.
Wow. That is insane because you could buy that in Spokane.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, there's a different buyer pool out there. So we do loans for people like this and they're typically like MDs that make $800,000 a year. And there's like, I just want to own property. So they'll buy these things for like 25% down and it does fine for them. I don't know.
Yeah, at some point in time, the cash flow and the numbers don't actually make sense, right? Because
until they rely on a property manager, the property manager doesn't do it, and then they don't get the return, and then it's listed 2 years later. They're like, "Fuck this."
Yeah.
See it all the time.
Exactly. Yep.
But hey, they'll get some nice losses on it.
Yeah, that's good. Reduce your tax bill.
Maybe their stay-at-home mom gets a real estate license, gets some rep status, some accelerated depreciation on this thing. It's just different ballgame.
Kind of makes sense. So I guess one of the things that I was thinking about to talk about today was just like buying right now. You made a comment about like it's really hard to buy right, or you can't buy right. Like, what does that even look like? Like, there are still people out there buying deals. How do you do it right now?
I still haven't bought anything on market in probably over 2 years. Everything
on market.
Yeah, everything I bought is direct to seller or from a wholesaler, and I still think that's one of the keys to just having your own pipeline. But
yeah,
there are other people who buy on the MLS. Like,
but even then, that's like seems like
I don't know. What are the advantages?
How do you build your pipeline though? Yeah, like if you were to start today, would you just start off market real estate business today? With like a large overhead in marketing and all that stuff?
With the intention of flipping or rentals, or I guess either is applicable?
Doesn't matter. Like just because you said like to get a pipeline so you can do something. I'm asking because there are people still buying and acquiring, and obviously your investment goals are your own investment goals. Like everybody has their own reasoning to buy real estate or not buy real estate. But
I mean, I would connect with other wholesalers that actually know what they're doing. I would connect with realtors that actually have off-market deals, those are very few and far between. And then if you want to do some of the grunt work yourself, get any of the major list, platforms, PropStream or Deal Machine, county records, list stack them. So you have 2 or 3 motivations on it, and then pound the phones yourself, whether that be through a dialer or like a Google Voice or whatever. And just be really clear on what you're going after. So that way pattern recognition kicks in and you'd be like, okay, this actually is probably a deal.
Yeah. And I think understanding what the opportunity is in front of you, whether it's is there a development play, which probably is not the best play to do right now, right? Anything with ground up as far as like, oh, do I add an ADU? Like there's like that little small period of time, which I think it really only worked in a couple markets anyways, but like this whole like split the lot off or add an ADU in the backyard or this or that. You've got the co-living guys out there trying to do co-living stuff, or the Airbnb guys out there who are still trying to do that. And I think it all works at some level. To me, I guess the reason I asked the question is it does seem like it's harder to do at scale right now, but I think it's also a good opportunity if this is your game. Like if you want to be in real estate, I think there's a lot of great opportunities out there.
I think loan assumptions could be good, which I don't think you can do with DSCR, but if someone got like a good commercial loan in 2020 through 2022, 2023, and they have a sub 5% rate, like you could probably make something happen with that.
These are all things that like somebody getting in the space should not do because they're stupid.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
And I'm not even saying in the context of somebody getting in the space, just in general, because it's like, I mean, I think we could all say like Mike and I haven't bought anything. We've been selling real estate recently. We have no desire to buy. I guess it's not part of my investment strategy at the moment, although I am flipping houses via a person as an investor. So I'm going to make some money on that. Like that's cool. It's still in the real estate game, but I'm not doing any of the work or the acquisitions on that. So that's cool.
Yeah, like as a lender, or do you have a side flipping operation you're funding that you haven't told me about, Dan?
We have the loan on it. 8 Orange Blossom in Arkansas.
Do you have extra stake in that outside of our deal?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know. This is a conflict of interest.
It's not a conflict of interest. I'll tell you off. I will tell you off. We've talked about this. I'll tell you off.
This is hilarious for me to witness right now.
It's not a conflict of interest.
Yes, it is. You underwrote the loan and you have a personal stake in it. And it got rejected by our investors. Now they're making the whole thing look funky.
You're making this. I've talked to you about this many times.
All right, we'll see this in the papers in a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like $138,000 loan. Worst case, Dan will just.
It's not what it is. But my point is bringing this topic up is just like there's ways to make money. There are people making money. Like there's got to be a way to do this, not at scale, but at a way that you make good money, because you're supposed to buy when nobody's buying, right? I mean, that's the Warren Buffett rule that everybody lives by.
But you also don't want to be buying when only the dummies are buying. Right?
Yeah, but when is that? Because there are people in real estate making money, I guess is my point, right? That are flipping houses, that are developing land, they're doing all these things. And I think parts of that is the market you're in and what the opportunities are. And you need to adapt to that. I think part of it is being patient and making sure you're buying the right deal. That's always the case, right? It feels like you have less reason to try to just do more deals, right? There for a while, like it felt like 2022, 2023, everybody had a goal. I'm going to flip 50 houses. I'm going to flip 100 houses. And it was like, yeah, Steve is flipping 100 houses this year. And it made sense, right? You're like, I wouldn't want to do that, but like that's what he's doing and he'll be fine. But that today does not seem like a goal you should have.
It's definitely shifted more towards like a quality game versus a quantity game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of facets. I mean, there was not just creative finance, the whole Burr strategy was romanticized there for a very long time, which is a lot harder to do today. Note investing, people flipping dirt, like all of the niches I feel like got very popular, unless it's just my own algorithm. It's like, okay, he's not interested in this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
It's still out there because people tell me about it all the time on social media that listen to the show and different things. They're like, what's your opinion on this guy? I'm like, I've never even heard of this guy. And I look them up. They have 87,000 followers. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that out there. You're right.
Yeah, but then also too, you look at it and the reels have like 1,200 views. I'm like, okay, so you bought 80,000 of your 87,000 followers.
Totally.
I don't know. It's so hard to tell reality right now and who's actually successful. Because I mean, we see this on the loan side too. We have people that come through that are big names. They have holdings, have all kinds of stuff. They have no money. They have 35 properties, but they have no cash. I'm like, what are you doing?
That's the stories all the time with real estate investors, though.
It's stupid.
Right?
It's just a stupid place to be.
But the thing is like those people historically would have gotten bailed out because interest rates went down for basically 40 years. So they could always refinance on a higher value, pull out some cash that's tax free. And that was their money. Mm-hmm. You can't really do that right now. So to answer your main question, Dan, of like what people are doing and the timing part of it, if I had to put my pure investor hat on and say, what are the probabilities going forward? I'm still underwriting for prices to slightly go down if I'm looking at a flip or a refi on a rental, whereas other people aren't. So I lose out on a lot of deals still. But like, and that might happen. Those people that outbid me might still make money, but there will become a time where it does flip and then they get screwed and I'm still be left standing.
Yeah, you're still standing.
And it'll wipe out all their gains. We saw this firsthand in 21 when Dan and I's main competition here, we would look at all these wholesale deals that they were doing.
Yeah. Oh. And
they would be buying these deals that were like way too high price, these piece of shit properties. They would just list them on the market as is and make like 30 grand. And this over and over and over again. We sit there and watch and we're like, should we do that? I don't know if we should. And we never moved from our principles. They lost multi 7 figures when the market collapsed in 22 and 23.
Yep.
So all that money they made, it just disappeared, and then some. And so it's like the sustainability in business, I say, as you mature as an entrepreneur, you really start to realize how rare that is, and anybody can make a quick buck, but to make recurring bucks over even like 5 or 6 years is really hard to do and not very common.
Right. No,
that's in any business.
Yeah.
There's a well-known flipper here that texted me this morning asking for like a loan, and she sent me all the details. I was like, so long story short is here's like, if things go very according to plan on a 300,000 ARV, you're going to make 22,500. If things go exactly as you planned.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not funding that loan. Like, sorry.
They can't go they won't go exactly as they're planning. It never does.
Yeah.
Nothing ever does. Interesting. So the next question I would have then, and I'm asking this because I know Dylan will have a good answer. I know Mike, you will too, but I was thinking about this the other day. Mike and I actually talked a little bit about the stock market, like equities and stuff like that.
Oh God.
Well,
I have a separate thing, but go on. Sorry.
It was like the index fund and mutual fund investing is that like dead. And now do you like need to be just buying individual stocks and should you have some exposure?
And YOLOing into them? Yeah.
Not even YOLOing. Like, I don't mean that at all. I mean, like, we've all kind of, at least like millennials and stuff, have been kind of beaten into us of like, just get the S&P 5, buy the S&P 500. But we're finding out, and we've talked about this on the pod a couple of times, it's not the S&P 500, it's S&P 7, right? And they're dragging everybody up. Those companies that are seeing meteoric rises are different than the Mag 7. And there's a lot of opportunity out there because of AI. And my belief is that AI is dragging the economy along with it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think that's how much money is getting invested in AI and how much growth. And it's more than just capital markets at play here. It has to do with like geopolitics about this whole thing, right? China, US, all this stuff. So I think there's more to it. That's why I say that. But can you pick 4 or 5 like solid fundamentals, companies and stocks? And should you pick that so that you can not have to basically be poor by investing in the S&P 500? Because to me, that feels like you're almost even losing, not just keeping up with inflation, but maybe losing ground with inflation.
It's a long-winded response, but my general consensus would be if you invest in the S&P 500 now, whether it be VOO or any of the other indices that track it, history would tell you that now is not a good entry point. In fact, the returns over the next 10 years are like 0 to 1%. if history repeats itself because of where their valuations are relative to their earnings.
Okay. When you say there, are you saying like the Mag
Like
7?
S&P 500 in general. And like that's an aggregate.
The indices.
Yeah.
Okay.
But picking individual stocks is still very hard.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going against people who do this for a living, who are very smart, who still aren't, a lot of them still lose. Like I think that 80-20 principle still applies even to money managers and stock pickers. Where I'm putting my money outside of real estate, and obviously Bitcoin, you guys know I have holdings there, is indices, but in emerging markets, things that have better valuations. And so like this would be Central America. There's some European exposure. Japan actually has some decent exposure, but that's still an indice, but it doesn't track the S&P 500. It tracks something that has a better valuation at this current moment in time.
Yeah.
I hate that 100%.
You hate it?
I hate that. Not that you're doing it. I hate that. If you're going to bet on a country or a continent, I'm definitely betting on North America, not South America.
I think that's just a bad take.
No, I've had a hard enough time understanding what would be a good stock to pick in the U.S. How the hell am I going to go and invest in Asia?
That's why you pick the broad indices, not that way you pick individual companies.
I don't like it. I think the personal belief, I think that the U.S. has the best shot and the best chance to come out of like the next several years as the leading economy.
I would caveat that with economy doesn't necessarily equal stock market gains. Like,
correct.
They can be correlated, but they could still have wide divergences at times.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I still think I'm betting on America, not South America.
I'm just going to put all my money in Polymarket at this point.
It's a good deal if you have insider information.
Let's look at it. How much money should I put on, let's see, what's a good one in here?
I'm trying to log into my
Musk.
Robinhood account.
Is Elon Musk going to have more or less than 180 tweets by the end of this weekend?
I don't know because I don't track his tweets, but
well, exactly. But if we can figure that out, we can make 6-to-1 returns by the end of the weekend.
Yeah. See, now that I am not denying that Polymarket is a good opportunity right now. If you in fact have insider information, if you don't have insider information, it's a scam and you're on the losing end of the pyramid scheme.
Well, there's like high frequency traders like the Citadels that rip off retail investors, like with like the Robinhoods and stuff. You don't think that's happening on Polymarket?
Of course it is.
Oh, obviously. There's a guy going to jail for the raids down in Venezuela.
Well, with the whole thing, you don't have to wait for the outcome either. Basically, you can sell your positions. As the chances change, you can sell your positions. And so there's absolutely people that do that.
So I think part of the American market too, okay, I did a quick Google search because I couldn't remember and I don't know if this is the same quote I was quoting, but according to Google, 32% of the U.S. economy is people's 401ks, which they're owned by individual investors, but not traded. So whatever these big vanguards and stuff want to happen, they control a third of the economy based on that, or a third of the stock market.
That's such an interesting thing I actually never really thought about before, is you have this huge value that is locked into the market that essentially is never isn't going to be sold for the next little while. And then even when they get to like retirement, it's only going to get sold at like a slower cadence. They're never going to be liquidated all at once. It's just not something that'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy out there. His name is Mike Green. He's a hedge fund manager, went to Wharton, very astute guy. But he has a whole theory around retirement accounts and their quote unquote passive bid for the market and how that is the most influential factor in markets because of how big they are and the volume that they control. Because especially the people who have all the money are demographically the older people, right? Mm-hmm. And so if they're just like in these target date funds or they're buying the S&P 500, they have automatic bids every single paycheck into the stock market, and it's market weighted. So it's just a feedback loop on itself. So he's like, there is a point where once these boomers start dying and they basically sell, or there's not necessarily selling, but less buying, then if that trend reverses, like it could be trouble, but it could still be 5 to 7 years away.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because then, where does the money go? Here's a good way to look at it, I guess. The way I'm thinking about it is so you have all these boomers that are probably hitting their, what do they call it? Where they, RMDs. Where you have to sell and pull your money out and pay the taxes. So you're probably seeing a wave of that. But then if they die, then it goes to their kids regardless. And I mean, the government's going to get their taxes no matter what, but like the kids are just going to spend the money or invest it. So does that just go right back into the economy in two different ways? It either goes in by consumption or it goes in through investment.
But then it's going into the economy, not necessarily the stock market.
That's true. Yeah.
So I would say that's a net positive.
But the companies that you buy shit from, like if you go and buy your Tesla, then Elon's stock goes up. He gets more rich.
I mean, at the end of it, there's so much of the wealth between 401ks, stocks, housing that's held by that higher age bracket, that boomer age bracket. Like eventually that's going to shift somewhere. And like there's been this talk forever, like the silver tsunami sort of like happening all at once. Those people are all rapidly approaching the age where they are going to start dying here if they haven't already. And so that speed's going to pick up in that transfer. And that'll be really interesting to see what that does, because there's going to be a ton of people that like are our age or, a little bit older that maybe haven't done that well for themselves. Say like they're in their 50s and they're like, they have a comfortable lifestyle, but all of a sudden they get a surplus of wealth. It'll be fascinating to see if they choose to spend it or they choose to invest it. Because if you think about it, if you were somebody that's like 55, your parents died, they were in their 90s, they leave you like $5 million.
Yeah.
Are you going to just reinvest it at that point at 55? Or are you going to go and do all the shit that you didn't do for the last 30 years as an adult?
Probably.
Oh, yeah. You're going to definitely go have some fun, especially if you're a millennial that didn't do that well, like you're saying.
Yeah, totally.
I think ever since, which wasn't that long ago, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I learned that the millennial generation, or I guess the baby boomer generation, was the biggest in history. And then the millennials is the actual biggest in history, right? Like after them, like is the new biggest in history. So then we've been buying houses while baby boomers have kept and owned their house and then maybe had a second home, right? Mm-hmm. So we've had to build the housing stock to fit the two biggest generations. And you have Gen X kind of in there, and you have Gen Z, and you'll have whatever follow-on generations. I don't think that people are having big families. I think the reason why baby boomers and millennials had the two largest is because you have the largest generation who had babies, right? Mm-hmm. And they had multiple babies, right? Well, now the younger generations are having one kid or two kids or less or no kids. So as those two generations, as the baby boomers die off, the millennials already have the house they need, right? Maybe they move around a little bit. They already have the house. What are you going to do with all the extra houses?
Yeah.
It's just a numbers game.
And the real estate question for a while, and there also isn't the desire for the same style of housing that baby boomers wanted.
No. Yeah. People want to be a little bit more mobile. People like, how many baby boomers do you know that moved like every 5 to 7 years? I don't know any. Dude. But millennials, that's me. I've literally, the house I'm in now, I've been in this house 6 years, the longest time I've ever lived in any single spot.
Oh, yeah. My parents bought the house that I grew up in like 1989. And they still live there.
Yeah. My parents too. Yeah. My wife's parents, your parents, my parents, like same.
Yep. You guys remember, like in 2021, this is go back to the stock market thing. Everyone's like, if I just would put $5,000 into fart coin, right, I would have retired or whatever. Well, lately, there's two stocks that have gone like vertical. Micron, which is like the data memory one.
That's in our neck of the woods.
I pulled up my Robinhood account. I bought 42 shares at $36.31. If I would have kept it, big if.
It's like 400 now?
It's at 934. It's a 20x return. So it would have been that $1,700 would have turned into 40 grand. But I sold it forever ago.
Yeah, I'm actually looking. I remember buying Micron in 2014 on my TD Ameritrade account.
Yeah,
2014
for a little bit too.
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to see like when that was.
Other one was
I don't even know if I have
AMD.
the email still.
AMD I bought at here's this $5.83 a share. It's at $5.20 now, so that's another 10x. But I sold these forever ago, like because I was broke and I was in college. But the what if kind of thing.
Yeah, I can't find. I don't even think this email exists anymore. I probably have one somewhere. But I mean, whatever the price was in back then, I remember I had 20 grand and I was just like trading silly stocks with it. Micron was one of them. I remember Nvidia too. Yeah. Because like that was something that I recognized because I was a nerd and was into games. And I'm like, oh, they make chips. But the problem is you're so short-sighted at that point. I sold a lot of it because like it went up like 10% or whatever.
Yeah. And at that point, it's like, I need some money for beer. Like, I was 19, 20 years old. And so it's just so much different.
I just needed money to freaking pay my rent, or do whatever else I was doing.
See, NVIDIA had 5 shares at 46.10. I should have not done real estate. I just should have picked these stocks and
honestly
dicked around for 10 years.
Yeah. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. I always think that too. If I'd started buying houses back when I was 25 in 2015, how much more money I could have made. But also, the things that you did before you started doing that was kind of what got you to that decision. So it's always hard to say.
Yeah.
Can't change the past, so don't dwell on it.
Thanks for the life advice there, Mike.
Thank you.
There you go. Cool. Okay. Right on, guys. Anything else here to wrap up?
I'm good.
Good to go.
All right. Cool. Thanks for listening, everybody. You guys have a great week. I'll talk to you guys next time.
This episode is sponsored by Sir Lancelot LLC, also known as SLA Capital, which, if you didn't know, is Dan and I's private lending company. So yes, we are sponsoring our own show, but what you going to do about it? It is our private lending company that offers hard money and DSCR loans to real estate investors of all types. So you can be a new investor, an experienced investor. You can be buying flips, you can be buying rentals, whatever. We can do everything. And not only that, but the rates that we offer are just as competitive, if not cheaper, than pretty much every other company out there. So whatever big company you've been working with, bring us their term sheets and I guarantee you that we can probably beat it. We have the same connections they do. We just don't have all the overhead and middlemen. So if you want to come and check us out, go to slacapital.com/keys and I will know that you came from the show. And by seeing that you came from here, when you get to closing, you will save $500 on your first loan with us. So slacapital.com/keys, we would love to fund your next deal. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you want more from us, you can shoot us a follow on Instagram. I am at Mike_invest. Dan is at InvestorManDan. And Dylan is at Dylan_does_deals. Shoot us a follow and send us a DM to let us know what you think of the show.